forward in the coming days as it's publicly releasable. If it is part of the investigation and it is not publicly releasable, we will not be releasing it. Hold on. One at a time. Whoa. Hold on, one at a time. This gentleman is next.
Are your detectives inside the home right now? Are they getting access to the home right now as we speak?
We're waiting for the legal process to move forward. We have to obtain a search warrant for the residence. As soon as that is complied with, we will be conducting a full crime scene investigation on the interior and the exterior of the residence and the surrounding neighborhood.
Just to follow up, Deputy Chief, is there somebody from the family not allowing detectives inside the home right now?
That's inconsequential. We have to comply with the legal process. It doesn't matter whether the family allows us in or not. Hold on, ma'am.
Have family members been notified? The victim's family members been notified?
Have the family been notified of what? That an incident occurred here?
There were 2 victims?
I believe the family's aware.
In other words, why are you not releasing their names?
That's going to be the Los Angeles County coroner that releases the information.
Chief, is this a homicide?
Ma'am, go ahead. Your question first.
Yes. Is this a homicide?
At this time, it's a death investigation. Again, until we get inside and we make a determination, we can't call it anything. So we're going to conduct that We're going to conduct that investigation at the appropriate time. We will identify what kind of incident it is, and if it's determined to be a crime, we will seek the suspect. We will bring them to justice, and we will take them into custody.
The mayor has confirmed it's the Reiners. The mayor has already confirmed it's the Reiners. Can you tell us any more?
I can't speak for the mayor, but I can speak for the Los Angeles Police Department. The Los Angeles County coroner will identify the decedents that are inside of the residence. And that will be, that will be the official notification and the official identification of the decedents inside of the residence.
Under what circumstances were the bodies discovered?
I'm not going to address that. Ma'am? Sure, there's a legal process whenever you're going to conduct an investigation at a crime scene in the state of California. There are certain requirements that you have to meet in order to conduct a thorough investigation. So you don't want to start a crime scene investigation and then have someone say, I need you guys to leave the residence right now. So we're going to, hold on, you asked a question, I'm going to answer. So we have to comply with the legal process. Once the warrant is signed and delivered, we will have access to the crime scene. We will conduct a full, thorough, impartial investigation. We will conduct additional investigations in the neighborhood around this area. And then with that information, we will go forward with the investigation, whether it is a death investigation or some other type of investigation. And I do want to be clear, hold on. I want to be clear with one thing. Wherever we can be transparent and provide information to the public, we will release it as soon as we can.
One at a time.
Alan, do we have any?
Is there an understanding about when the decedents may have passed?
No. That's going to be determined by the coroner. The coroner's not here.
It's been about 6 hours since the first report. Why is it taking so long to gain access to start this investigation?
I don't understand the specific point of the question.
It's been 6 hours since police were first called.
Yeah. So, okay. So just to be clear, there's an initial investigation when the patrol officers arrive. When they make a determination that detectives are needed, they will back out. We will conduct a sweep of the area to make sure that it's safe. And then we will comply with the legal process, and then we move forward. I'm not giving you the exact timeline on that, but I'm telling you that it's moving forward. Pete, you had another question.
Yes, a twofold question. One, how soon do we anticipate getting a warrant to where you're able to search the entire property, interior and exterior? Second, do we have an ETA on the coroner's arrival? And once they arrive and make an initial determination, will they be able to give you identification that you can then release?
We'll be obtaining the warrant in real time very shortly if we have not obtained it already. In terms of the coroner's ETA, I cannot tell you when their estimated time of arrival is. We're already in communication with the coroner's office.
But as far as the overall investigation is concerned, beyond the initial determination, we have 2 decedents inside. We really haven't done anything in the way of any kind of forensics on the death scene itself, right?
That's correct. We've only done preliminary investigation at this point.
Are the bodies still there at the house, sir?
No, okay, so nothing has occurred inside the house. The house is in the exact same state it was when the officers arrived, just to be clear.
Are we safe in Brentwood tonight?
I'm sorry?
Safe in Brentwood tonight, Chief?
I can't hear you.
Are we safe in Brentwood, the neighbors of the community?
Oh, are we safe in Brentwood? I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have officers here at the scene. We have officers in the area. We're not looking for anyone in the Brentwood area at this point. We're not looking for anyone because we're still working on that part of the investigation. Hold on. Someone over here had a question.
What can you say about the fact that it's been
reported it was the son of the family.
I don't understand.
Rob Reiner's son is
But reported by who?
people.
Okay, I don't know. People magazine or people in the. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, that did not. Hold on. That did not come from the LAPD. Go ahead.
Deputy Chief, can you give us a sense of how many witnesses, if any, you guys have been able to talk to? Are there people you've been able to already touch base with who've been giving you useful information in terms of what unfolded inside that home?
So we've already been talking to the neighbors. We've already been canvassing the neighborhood and speaking to residents that live around this area. So that's part of our investigation. In terms of someone that may have information regarding what happened inside the residence, we're not going to release that information. That'll be part of the investigation.
Were there other family members living?
There's been no reports from the neighbors regarding hearing anything or seeing anything that we can release to the public.
Were there other family members residing inside the house besides Carl and his wife?
I don't have that information.
Timeline of this murder.
We haven't established that yet. We will establish that soon, and then that'll be part of the investigation. The part that is publicly releasable, we will release. The cause of death will be released by the LA County coroner.
Are you looking into them being stabbed?
We're looking into getting the information from the LA County coroner when it's available. Somebody over here had a question. Yes, ma'am.
Did they say where in the home they were found?
We didn't say.
Were any weapons found at the scene?
We didn't say anything about weapons either.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll release.
This a double homicide,
So
correct?
we're calling it a death investigation at this point. So just to be,
Homicide unit involved, sir. Are you able to explain that?
well, it's a homicide. Yeah.
So what's the robbery aspect to it? Are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be flippant. Let me be specific. There was recently a change within the department. Robbery Homicide Division handles all homicides now in the city of Los Angeles. So I apologize. I didn't know if you knew that or not. All homicides occurring in the city of Los Angeles are now handled by Robbery Homicide Division as of the end of October. So we handle them all. Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody. The next.
Okay, that was LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton giving somewhat of a frustrating press conference. We would say update, but not much was updated from the LAPD themselves, being very cautious, something we have been talking about all evening long. The LAPD not wanting to sully the investigation, saying 2 patrol officers entered the grounds at Rob Reiner's home where 2 bodies were found. They deemed things safe and then backed off the property and are waiting for a warrant to once again enter the property and allow detectives to begin the full investigation.
Right, so I think that's one of the big headlines in there is that they have not entered the home since that initial entrance sometime around 3:45 this afternoon. So we're talking more than 5 hours now. Another big headline coming out of that news conference, they said no one has been detained, no one is being interviewed. There's some conflicting reports about that, but officially from the LAPD, they are saying no one has been detained, no one is being interviewed. But there was somebody who chimed in and asked if residents in Brentwood are safe. He said, yes, people in Brentwood are safe. They are waiting on that search warrant, and they also said specifically that the identity of those 2 people found dead inside Rob Reiner's home will come from the LA County Coroner's Office.
And it seems a bit of a conflict from the LAPD saying no one has been detained, no one is being interviewed, they're not seeking anyone as a suspect or a person of interest. So one of our colleagues asking, well then shouldn't you be? Shouldn't you be out there looking for a suspect? And that's one of those kind of playing with words that the LAPD I think feels like they have to do at this point. And you also heard a question, someone asked, People is reporting that the Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were killed by their son. That was People magazine. That is being reported out there. That is fully unconfirmed by ABC News, and as we hear, the LAPD is not only not confirming or denying, they're not saying anything. They're just simply calling this a death investigation, not revealing the victims, the identities of the victims in this, but that is not the case for other sources.
So to be very clear here, LAPD are calling this a death investigation. But we also want to point out, of note, Mayor Karen Bass has issued an official statement, quote, honoring the lives and legacies of Rob and Michelle Reiner. This is directly from Mayor Bass in a statement. She says, quote, this is a devastating loss for our city and our country. Rob Reiner's contributions reverberate throughout American culture and society. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is also weighing in.
Yeah, the Speaker Emeritus, once again, she is confirming it, right? Writing the news of a deadly assault on Rob and Michelle Reiner in their home is devastating. It's hard to think of anyone more remarkable and excellent in every field and endeavor they pursued. So again, we have to kind of parse words here with what the LAPD is saying. They are not confirming the identities of the victims. In fact, they're not even really confirming that there has been a murder at that home, calling this just a death investigation handled by the Robbery Homicide Division.
And our investigative reporter, Kevin Ozebek, is there at the scene. He was asking questions of LAPD just a few moments ago. So, Kevin, can you hear us?
Yeah, and Liz, right now we see Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, who was just briefing us, walk back towards the Reiner home. A little bit further down here on Chadbourne Avenue. During this press conference we just had, as you and Jory were talking about, we still have so many questions and got few answers, but this investigation is very early. I think one thing that we were really asking them a lot about was what's kind of the process going forward about getting the forensic teams inside of this Reiner household. We asked them, are their family members not cooperating, not allowing detectives in? They kind of answer that question by saying it's standard procedure, you need a search warrant. Also, we still don't know who actually made this 911 call around 3:40 this afternoon and first reported that. So still a lot to be, a lot to still learn as this investigation is still only a few hours underway, Jory and Liz.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of homicides, of murders. I have never heard of the LAPD saying that they needed standing to enter the residence where a potential double murder has taken place. This is, and needed to come back with a warrant to investigate a potential double murder.
Yeah, and Jory, I'm not an attorney, and I don't have the California law right in front of me, but typically, usually how I understand it is if somebody is allowed access into a home, the homeowner or somebody who has rights to that property, they can't enter, right? You don't necessarily need a search warrant if you have permission to enter. But there is the possibility that we don't know who the deceased is. The owners of the home may not be alive. We just don't know. But kind of how the deputy chief answered that question was saying, we don't want to get in the home and then be told to have to leave after these forensic teams are already in. The deputy chief also says if that search warrant hasn't been signed off by a judge yet, it should be very soon. So regardless of the circumstances and the situation, those detectives will likely be inside that home very, very soon.
And we at this point have no idea what the conditions are inside the home. We've been watching the scene for several hours now. We've not seen a single LAPD detective enter that home. Kevin, I also thought that it was interesting. Someone said they didn't, the deputy chief rather said that he didn't hear anybody reporting having heard or seen anything just before this incident happened this afternoon. Are there neighbors there gathered where you are? And what are you hearing from people who live there?
There is a crowd here, Liz, but a lot of it are people who just kind of came from far away to have a look here. We haven't been able to speak to any neighbors who are very close to the Reiner home. That Reiner home is still a good distance down the street from where they are kind of keeping us right now. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing that the deputy chief said during this news conference, that they're already talking to people who live in the neighborhood, neighbors, but they didn't necessarily see anything, hear anything. That's at least according to the deputy chief. So it still raises the question, who called 911, right? And that is one thing we don't know right now.
Yeah, we heard a couple questions there towards the end of the press conference. Was that a resident of Brentwood asking questions to the deputy chief? They're asking, is Brentwood safe tonight?
Jory, I don't know if that was a resident here, if I don't know if that was a blogger or somebody just trying to post some social media out here. I didn't get a chance to see that person's face, so I don't know who that is. It's not somebody who I'm familiar with in the press corps. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of people who are not, with an LA Sheriff's Department press credential here who just want to see what's going on. And the LAPD was taking some questions from some of those people dressed in just, normal civilians who are just kind of walking by as well.
Yeah, oftentimes police will set up two kind of barriers, one to allow press into to kind of avoid a situation where the public can kind of commingle behind a police line. That looks like this has happened so recently, and so many people are flooding there that it's not really cordoned off in that sense.
And Kevin, are you able to see anything? Has anything?
Yeah, and as we kind of see the press team.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to say, Liz, as we look at kind of the deputy chief back there, as well as those are press members, the LAPD Public Information Department, as they kind of huddle back there, discuss everything that just went underway. It's very likely that we're not going to get much more new information tonight. That's what we were just told. The coroner still has to arrive. The forensics team still need to get inside that home. We're not expecting another briefing until tomorrow morning. So we may know only what we know right now, and we may not be getting any more updates, at least until tomorrow, Liz and Jory.
Yeah, it certainly seemed that that was going to be the case. They were trying to put that out there, that don't expect any more information tonight. We're waiting on that search warrant. That was a big headline coming out of that. And also the official identification, the deputy chief said, will come from the LA County Coroner's Office. That likely will not happen until tomorrow. We were speaking with our colleague Alex Stone earlier. And in these investigations, as things kind of move slowly, sometimes it's a matter of what police are not saying rather than what they are. Is there anything that still stands out to you after listening to that somewhat combative back and forth between the press and the deputy chief?
Yeah, I think one thing that my big question is, and I wish we kind of knew, is who called 911, right? I think that's a really interesting component to that. Was that somebody who lives inside that home as well, or somebody who lives nearby, a family member? We just don't know. One thing we also didn't get many answers to were, are other members of this family cooperating? There weren't really a clear answer on that front either. But Liz and Jory is one police officer who I was speaking to as I was driving out here, told me, he goes, these are really delicate investigations. There's a lot of moving components, a lot of people you need to talk to. Forensics plays such a key role in all this, so you don't want to be jumping to conclusions right off the bat because, a lot of these officers have the same questions that we have right now, and sometimes it just takes time to do the investigation, time to get answers, time to speak to everybody. This is a giant puzzle, right? And they need to put all the pieces together. And, we are about 5 hours since this all unfolded, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not really a long amount of time. So we're still in the very initial phases here. So I think one thing that he was, that deputy chief was kind of saying, in other words, was, guys, just be a little bit patient right now. We have some steps we need to go through, and that process is underway as we speak.
Well, and I thought it was interesting. He said as part of his standard course of investigation, of course, we would speak to family members. One of our crew members was also told out there at the scene just a little while ago by a neighbor out there that Rob Reiner's daughter lives on that same compound. She lives in a different house on that same property with her children. So Rob Reiner and his wife were told live in one house. Rob Reiner's daughter and her children live in another home. So it'll be interesting to see if she was home at the time. She, of course, will be part of this investigation as well.
Yeah, this part of town is home to a lot of powerful people. In large estates here, we see the different buildings. From where you are, Kevin, do you even have a view of the property itself? I know there are large hedges in the area, and you are at least a block away.
No, and Will's our KABC photojournalist here. Will, I'm going to have you see if you can zoom in as close as you can to those flashing lights, because that's as close as we can get. We don't have a good vantage point. You guys probably have a much better view from Air 7 than we do actually on the ground here, because we are a good distance away from the Reiner household. And also, Liz, you were talking about some family potentially living across the street. We did look through property records. We do know there is a Reiner household across the street as well. Don't know what connection at all to those people living in that home, what they saw, how this unfolded from their perspective. That's one of the things that remains a mystery to at least us right now. But yeah, as you can see, guys, we're pretty far away from this home. So we can't give you a good kind of insight in terms of what's all unfolding on that property. And it's going to be hard for us to tell from this vantage point when that search warrant is in those detectives' hands and when they're entering the home, because simply from here, they're keeping us so far back. We can't see the front of the home from where we are.
Well, you have to imagine LAPD would not have come out and gotten in front of cameras until they had initially filed for that search warrant, because they know that the pressure will be on. And while LAPD is not ready to publicly identify the victims in this situation, it's very important to point out Mayor Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and now Governor Gavin Newsom are all weighing in, naming Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner, as the victims in this case, expressing their heartfelt condolences and speaking about the contributions they've made to society. So the police are not identifying the victims, but certainly other power players are. Okay, Kevin Ozebek, great work out there. We're going to let you continue to work the scene, and we'll check back in throughout the evening. That statement from the governor, Governor Gavin Newsom writing tonight just minutes ago, Jen and I are heartbroken by the tragic loss of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner. Rob was the big-hearted genius behind so many of the classic stories we love, with projects as wide-ranging as The Princess Bride to A Few Good Men. His boundless empathy made his stories timeless, teaching generations how to see goodness and righteousness in others and encouraging us to dream bigger. So we can now confirm from several sources that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle have been killed at their Brentwood home. And we, of course, have been talking about his cultural impact. The couple has been married since 1989. They share 3 children, one of whom we're told by neighbors may live on that very same property as the Reiners in Brentwood. This is just the very early hours of this investigation. We expect a lot of developments perhaps to happen overnight, and Los Angeles police made it pretty clear we won't hear anything from them officially likely until tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we will continue to work our sources with the LAPD, assuming that search warrant will be issued momentarily. We will likely see a different scene, but this makes sense now why the property and the grounds were so quiet, a lack of a police presence outside the house, coming in and out. Normally with a murder investigation, we would see officers all around the property, taking pictures, looking for evidence. That is not evident at all from what we have been seeing here for hours. And so once that warrant is obtained, we expect to see a lot more activity on scene. And we will bring it to you throughout the evening. Of course, we will have continuing coverage here on ABC7.com and our ABC7 Los Angeles app, as well as Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock.
We have Kevin Ozebek out there at the scene, keeping an eye on things in this investigation as they develop. Our entertainment guru, George Pinocchio, will be weighing in on the life and legacy of Rob Reiner.
And we will hear from Arlena Gomez, who is going to Hollywood to check on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Rob Reiner's star there, where fans often flock and gather as an outpouring source of grief, and we will continue to cover this throughout the evening. Thank you for joining us for this breaking news special coverage of the apparent murder of Rob Reiner and his wife.
We'll see you.
This has been breaking news on Eyewitness News. Get alerted first to breaking news happening around you. Download the ABC7 Eyewitness News app.